Life in Manila is colorful, vibrant, warm. A loud and bustling capital city, the vivacious nature of Manila encapsulates the Filipino spirit. The streets are filled with welcoming, familiar faces of one's neighbors, and fiestas, gatherings with potlucks, and joyful karaoke nights are regular occasions that knit the community together. But for many of the city's 1.8 million residents, life in Manila is also survival. Due to poor family planning and barriers to social mobility, poverty in the Philippines is a generational cycle almost impossible to break out of. Oftentimes, children are brought into the world for the sole purpose of taking care of their parents and becoming breadwinners for their families. From a young age, these girls are forced to grapple with the financial burden placed upon them, as their parents prefer that they work menial jobs and earn for family. About only 41.1% of the population finish high school in the Philippines. In such circumstances, many girls end up becoming domestic helpers, with some choosing to migrate abroad for higher pay. Meet Josie and Effie, two domestic workers from the Philippines.
Okay, I'm Josie Cortez. I'm 52 years old and I'm working here in Hong Kong 8 years since 2015.
I'm Effie, 43 years old. Almost 1 year here in Hong Kong, first time.
Hailing from the cities of Caloocan and Quezon, both Josie and Effie's lives in Manila are colored with friends and family. Both of them are now living and working in Hong Kong to support their children back home.
Life back in Manila and I miss my family and of course I want to spend time more to my family and of course I got a good job. Yeah, I have kids. I have kids. They're all married, 2 boys married and 2 boys not married.
For me, life back in Manila, same with Ate Josie, family, there's also family, but need to work here for them.
Yeah.
I have 2 kids, grade 12 and first year college.
Although they both wish to live and work in Manila, financial opportunities and better working conditions brought them to Hong Kong, since there are less job opportunities and lower wages in Manila.
Because of the work, it's a big salary compared to in Philippines. Philippines is almost half salary. I don't know, one fourth. Than to in Hong Kong.
Sa akin naman, sa Maynila, okay naman yung work ko. Ang kinagandahan lang talaga ay ang salary dito compared to
Tama.
dito din na-experience ko yung holidays with pay.
Yeah. For foreign domestic helpers, life in Hong Kong is unfamiliar, hostile, cold. Although a global city with a high level of diversity, the fast-paced, almost indifferent nature of Hong Kong can be unwelcoming to newcomers. This is especially true for Filipino foreign domestic helpers, who have to grapple with a foreign culture, language, environment, and people that are often prejudiced against them. Even so, they have cultivated a piece of their home country within this alien environment. The building Worldwide House in Central is filled to the brim with shops selling Filipino snacks and groceries. Remittance banks transferring money back home also gather long lines of domestic helpers waiting to send their salaries back to their families. On Sundays, domestic helpers often gather together in public spaces like parks or bridges to enjoy their day off, often bringing along cardboard or blankets to sit on, food to share, and karaoke mics. Filipinos share, sing, and dance against the backdrop of the cold metropolis. The community they have built stands strong together against the hardships of life abroad. Leaving their life in Manila behind, many Filipino domestic helpers have to face new adversities, including unemployment, poor working conditions, and racism.
Mga lokal dito, pag alam nilang Pilipino ka, hindi sasalita ka nila ng salita nila na hindi mo naiintindihan. Pero napipil mo na parang mga bad yung mga sinasabi nila sa iyo. So, ikaw na lang, okay ka lang okay kasi hindi mo nga naiintindihan. Then, pag nasakay ka ng taxi, you open the right address, and then makipag-argue ka. So, it's better you lumabas ka na lang ng taxi, you stop na lang, then you find another taxi. So, mahirap makipag-argue.
Katulad niyan, yung mga local na meron nga nalaman nga nila, lalo na pag nadala kang kayaga, alam na nila yung mga helper kayo, ganyan. Yung parang pangit yung treatment nila na gano'n, na hindi mo lalo na yung expression ng mga mukha nila, lalo pa nung nagka-pandemic, dahil nakarating na ako dito nung pandemic time, na sumakay ka, Pilipina ka, parang lumalayo sila sa iyo na gano'n.
Dealing with such apathy, exploitation, and unjust treatment is a daily uphill struggle, but what keeps them in Hong Kong is their financial burdens as they provide for their children and relatives back home. Despite their found community here, if given the choice, most would like to return to the Philippines to reunite with their children and loved ones.
Yes, of course. After your for good here in Hong Kong, you go back to Philippines. If you have save a lot of money for some small business, why not? You stay in Philippines, right? It's better you have stay in Philippines with your family because tumatanda ka na. So spend more time to your family before alam mo yun, the end of your life.
Siyempre, may plano talagang bumalik ng Pilipinas. Pero for now, stay here in Hong Kong until na makatapos yung aking mga anak sa pag-aaral. And that's the time I go back to Philippines.
Yes.
So yung opportunity na magtrabaho ako kasi kailangan ko talagang magtrabaho para sa dalawa kong anak. Lalo na ngayon na magka-college na sila, nandito ang malaking income para sa akin para masuportahan ko yung needs nila.
The 200,000 domestic helpers of Filipino origin that work in Hong Kong lead lives similar to the narrative you just heard. The main factor that led these foreign domestic helpers to leave their homes is, of course, financial. On average, more than half of their monthly salaries are sent home to support their families, and oftentimes the generational poverty that pushes these women to become foreign domestic helpers is a result of the impoverished economic situation of their home countries. In the Philippines, a 2022 survey conducted by the Philippine Statistics Authority revealed that almost 20 million out of the country's 114 million population were found to be living below the poverty line. The country has grappled with a struggling economy for decades and have sought various solutions to combat high unemployment and boost the country's finances. One of such solutions was a 1974 labor code that marked the beginning of labor export from the Philippines. The country became increasingly reliant on labor export, which resulted in the high percentage of Filipino foreign domestic helpers that work in Hong Kong today. Foreign domestic helpers originate from other countries as well, such as Indonesia and Thailand. These demographics also have similar reasons as to why they work in Hong Kong, including a struggling economy back home. As Lucinda Pike, executive director of Enrich, stated, domestic work is, in many ways, invisible and undervalued work that disproportionately falls on women, often migrants. Organizations like Enrich aim to provide financial and empowerment education to these foreign domestic helpers, as well as advocate for the implementation of legal measures ensuring better working conditions for them. The poor treatment of foreign domestic helpers in Hong Kong is largely a result of the so-called live-in rule, which requires non-local domestic helpers to live with their employer and became mandatory in 2003. This rule was implemented to keep them out of direct competition with local non-live-in service workers, as the government wanted to give priority to the local population over foreign migrants. However, this has caused a myriad of problems that foreign domestic helpers now face on a daily basis. With no legal standards set for the minimum living space or maximum working hours per day, many foreign domestic helpers have no work-life balance and are often forced to live under terrible conditions. A 2019 survey by Mission for Migrant Workers revealed that out of the more than 5,000 foreign domestic helpers that were surveyed, 44% were working more than 16 hours a day. Even worse, 29% said that they weren't given enough food to eat, and 15% physically abused. Because of the live-in rule, foreign domestic helpers who face such substandard lifestyles are pressured to stay with their current employer because leaving is likely to lead to homelessness until they find new employment. In fact, the Hong Kong government has decreed that if they leave before their 2-year contract is finished, foreign domestic helpers have just 14 days to become re-employed or be forced to leave Hong Kong. Although the United Nations Human Rights Committee and Amnesty International have repeatedly argued against this law, it continues to hold back foreign domestic helpers from escaping inhumane living conditions to this day. What are some solutions to these issues faced by foreign domestic helpers in Hong Kong? Even though foreign domestic helpers are foreign migrants in Hong Kong, they deserve equal rights and treatment as local workers, and we should take action to improve their lives. The 3 types of solutions we propose are individual, community, and government. At the individual level, we can be more tolerant and respect them as individuals. We should treat them as human beings and recognize their contributions to Hong Kong households. We can also advocate for their rights by supporting organizations and campaigns that stand up for the rights and welfare of foreign domestic helpers in order to further spread awareness of the inequality they face. We can also encourage our friends, family, and colleagues to also treat foreign domestic helpers fairly and respectfully. At the community level, education of related laws to protect foreign domestic helpers should be facilitated to the local community. There are several non-governmental organizations such as Enrich and Help for Domestic Workers that help foreign domestic helpers battle discrimination and hardships they face. For example, these NGOs often provide Cantonese language workshops to help newly arrived foreign domestic helpers adjust to life in Hong Kong, as well as financial education that helps prevent scams and unfair contracts. Education and knowledge regarding Hong Kong's laws is also an important topic, so that foreign domestic helpers can know how to seek assistance and help themselves when they face injustice. Lastly, government initiatives should be implemented to improve conditions for foreign domestic helpers. At the government level, the salary and working conditions of foreign domestic helpers should be guaranteed by legislation of law with greater monitoring and law enforcement. Last but not least, the government should arrange a forum for various demographics, including foreign domestic helpers, to share their opinions and provide consultation for these workers about the laws that apply to them. As a result, there will be a clampdown on unlawful practices from employers and domestic helper agencies, and the cases of sexual harassment, maltreatment, and violence can be reduced and prevented.